Hello my soccer universe, the international break is upon us and I will say let's do an international unpacking. I've been having a parcel now in my office here for I want to say 3 weeks. It came all the way from Scotland from my good friend Andy and it contains 3 national team jerseys. And I kept this parcel exactly for the international break to kind of have, an international background here. Put up the scarves and yeah. Let's look at the parcel. I want to show you the parcel first before I try to tell you a little bit about it. But I first want to show you the parcel. I just have to say it's a little bit hard to pick up. I don't want to give any addresses away, so I have to place my hands carefully so that I can show you the size and then we'll look at it in a little bit more detail. You can see it is quite the size. There are 3 jerseys in here. And probably I'm gonna do the 2 European jerseys in this unpacking. I'm gonna leave the non-European jersey for a little bit later. Does this make sense? Maybe. I think, or shall we do it all at once? Maybe it's better to have now all the European jerseys and then we leave the other one for later. Yeah? I saw there's a little surprise in there. It's already hinted in the customs declaration as well, because it does not only say 3 shirts, it also says 1 scarf. And that really had me intrigued. So, let's open that one up. So, open it is, and I'll let you have a look at the contents of this parcel. Very, very interesting, I would argue. There's some red popping out. There is some kind of yellowish color in there as well. I can tell you already, one of these yellow jerseys I will keep for later. It's a very interesting one, but let's start with the red, because this is obviously the surprise, and it is a scarf, as Andy said. So let's have a look at the scarf. And oh, that's actually a pretty cool scarf. It's actually a pretty cool scarf. Andy is of course from Scotland. It's a Scotland scarf. But what I see already, this is Euro 96. This is an old scarf. This is a really nice and old scarf. Gives me definitely the 90s feels. Here, Euro 96. That's a pretty amazing scarf, I have to say. Back then, I have to see. I wanna have that, Scarves have 2 sides, one where you have a little bit the seam showing and the tassels go up, and here I usually like this side a little bit better, but then you have to grab it right, and this scarf is actually quite interesting in that sense. So here we have Scotland Euro Championship. That is something I did not really catch on over time. We still call it the Euros, but I actually really love this scarf. This is very well done. It's actually UEFA branded Scotland scarf. That should go up on the wall, I would say. Let's exchange a few things here. Ta-da! Here it is. That was the oldest item out of this parcel, and I put it right next to another really old scarf, this Australia scarf. I think I bought that one in '98 actually in Australia, so fits quite nicely with that one. And I took down the Austria-Sweden match scarf, which is from '97, so another real vintage scarf. Speaking of scarves, probably should have knocked down the England scarf and replaced the Scotland scarf with that one, but I decided to put the semi-finalists of the last Euro here in the middle. We have Portugal there as well, and you might have realized we have here Wales. I found this little towel that a subscriber sent to me not too long ago, together with the Nottingham Forest jersey. So I thought this actually fits quite nicely here and will fill a gap once this is all full with jerseys, as it usually is. As I said, the Scotland scarf is the oldest item out of this parcel. The other 2 are a little bit more recent, but one I would say is still vintage and is quite a classic. The other one is modern and maybe you wouldn't say it is a classic. But the Italy jersey here fits right in between, symmetrically between these 2 jerseys. So yeah, once you know the other one, you can guess already the year of the second one. Let's see. I want to always keep it a little bit of surprise, but let's start with the more modern jersey. Very contentious jersey, although I have to say, when it came out, I didn't necessarily hate it, although it was a little bit weird. That much is for certain. So, let me see. This is not this, it's not this. Oh, they're nicely in the same package. So, well, I think if I do it this way, it's probably clear which one it is. And the other one you can still guess. It's an Austria jersey, a white Austria jersey, and it's the one from, of course, 22, where Puma had this grand idea of putting boxes on front of jerseys. It's an idea that I didn't hate per se. I don't think that these jerseys were as bad as the ones that they had for the previous Euros, you know, where there was no crest on it whatsoever. Here they went just a little bit differently. So let's take this Austria jersey out. I think Andy found it for really cheap, and I think we were also discussing, should we get it with a name set or not. I in the end decided to go with the slightly cheaper version without the name set, and here it is. I mean, oh, slight. That's on only a thread. So here it is. This is the Puma template from back then, you know, rather plain overall. I actually do like a few features on this one. First of all, the sleeve cuffs. I love flag sleeve cuffs, and this is something that has not been on an Austria jersey for a long time, and I think especially for the white Austria jersey with these sleeve cuffs, that always looks really nice in my opinion. And given that there's black, that's a pretty good fit. Actually, I would trim the sleeves in black and then have the Austria flag go around, but you know, this one looks also quite nice. I also do like, in a way, this little trapezoidal thing on the back. On the front, the inside, yeah, not too fond of it. I think it might have been better if you just take the edge of this collar and make it black. Would trim it a little bit better. But of course, the big feature is that we have here the Austrian crest, and then this box also in the flag colors. I honestly want to say this is the white Austria jersey that uses the Austrian flag the most, I think I want to say, in history. For that I actually do like it. Now, the one thing that I don't find so cool with this one is that it says Austria only here. Couldn't we have something else here too? And then also the way it says Austria, it's kind of, you know, black on top, white on the bottom. That's a little bit weird. But you know, everything else centered. And in order to make the box useful when you don't have it printed, it actually says AUT, which is of course the 3-letter FIFA code for Austria. And if you wondered why AUT and not AUS, well, AUS is of course Australia, but AUT has always been the way for Autriche, which is of course the French version of it. That's why it has always been AUT for Austria. Here in Austria we usually say just A or just O with the umlaut on top, which is Ö, because it's Österreich. And that's what I think should have been here. Make Austria here and write Österreich here. But Österreich is of course a much longer name, so I guess it would also not look right. Per se, the box is not a bad idea. It just looks a little bit smacked on, I would say. I think it's the execution of that one. There have been 2 jerseys of this line that I really liked. Actually 3, and one of them I have, which is the Czech Republic jersey. That was also quite nice. This one I would say is middle of the park and not that great. But enough talking by me. Let's hang this one on the wall and then we'll look at the other jersey. I'll maybe have to say a little bit more about this one. Okay, here's the Austria jersey and the Czech jersey I have from this collection, and I have to say probably overall the Czech jersey is just a tad better, and it comes down to the collar being actually quite proper. I also find the box less intrusive on the Czech jersey because it has just the Federation crest in the center and then just hints at the shield, maybe here on the bottom. That part is a little bit lost, but you know, it doesn't look as squared on as on the Austria jersey. But it's mostly the collar that I think makes the Czech jersey look better. However, the flag cuffs for the Austria jerseys, that's something really nice. And that leaves us with the last one. This is a jersey that fits in one of my favorite sub-collections on a national team level, which is of course Euro 2008, and by that you already know which one this is. Who was wearing? I mean, it probably should be gold, but it's definitely more a mustard color with a little bit of, looks like black, but it's actually a navy blue. It's pretty clear who that should be. It's of course the winners of that competition who wore this jersey at least in the semi-final that year, and I wanna say they wore it even against Greece in the last group game. That didn't mean all that much. anymore. So, and here is a little fun fact. When Spain were winning the Euros in 2008, which was played in Austria and in Switzerland, among all the semi-finalists, this team was the only team that played all their games in Austria. So for me, a true champion. Truly a true champion. But yes, that's the away jersey, and I have been after the one for a while, because I wanted to have every jersey for Euro 2008. And you know, if you have both of the winners, that's pretty cool. I mean, I have the home jersey, now I have the away jersey. But I also wanted to have this one because Spain are Spain are currently having a yellow away jersey. And then I thought, yeah, I mean, this is the closest one, but this is somehow a little bit more special because it actually means something. Interestingly enough, I mean, when this was released, Spain hadn't won a title since the Euros in 1964. How they came up with the goldenish, or let's call it mustard color. I never saw this necessarily as gold, I always saw this mustard color. How they came up with that, I don't know. And actually, if you look at the crest, and how beautiful is this full-on Spanish crest. And I repeat myself, once they put this, it was the first time that they put it in this configuration with the big shield. Once they put it, Spain won tournament after tournament after tournament. As soon as they took the color out, they did not win tournaments again until recently. But this, for me, is the crest of the most successful Spanish team ever. And it's absolutely gorgeous. However, if you look at it, I mean, there's so much yellow around here that it almost clashes a little bit with the gold, but doesn't take too much away from it. It's a classic. It's an absolute classic. As I said, color combination may not be the greatest one. However, it featured also on something else nice. I mean, while it should have been worn with white pants, during the tournament it was mostly worn with the navy pants from the home jersey, where it really fit nicely because the home jersey had the pants, of course, with reverse colors in navy with the golden stripes, in the golden Adidas stripes. On the back, jersey is blank, but I think this was clear. Okay, here we have the full collection of the Spanish kits from Euro 2008, right around the Spanish scarf. The scarf was actually, I bought it in 2002 in Barcelona at a friendly match between Spain and Portugal, but I also like it that I have UEFA Euro 2008 up there. That was not planned, that just worked out. But you see, both of these kits fit actually quite well together, and I really like that the pants were interchangeable on that one. So that's really nice. Of course, would have been nice to have name sets on there. I thinking, you know, Fernando Torres should go on the red one, or David Villa or Xavi should go on the goldenish one. Yeah, let's call it golden. I don't want to call it mustard. But yeah, it's really nice to have the two jerseys of the winning nation from the Euros that were hosted in my home country. And I argue, you know, when they played Italy in the quarterfinals, they played actually against Italy in a white jersey. When Spain was in red, blue would have worked just about fine. Blue always works, but I would argue both of these colors would have worked against a blue Italy jersey. I just want to say price points again. I think the Austria jersey Andy got for really cheap, around £10 I want to say, and I think the Spain jersey originally was up for 30, but I think he could get it down to around 20-25. I was definitely pleased when he told me that. So in any case, I want to thank you again, Andy, for helping me get these two jerseys, especially that one. And yes, we could have added a few more Euro 2008 jerseys, but you know, I didn't want to go too wild. I was very close of saying, yeah, let's get also the red France jersey, because that's another really interesting one, but I decided A, it was not worn at the tournament, and B, it would have been probably more money than I wanted to spend at that time. The Austria jersey, though, I think is interesting. I know most of you will hate it. I find it interesting, but the best thing, I gotta say, the scarf. The scarf is definitely a highlight. In any case, there's one more jersey in this parcel. I'm gonna unpack it with another one that fits quite in the context there. That will come a little bit later, probably next week, you know, before we go back into the club season. And yeah, I have a couple of more international shirts, but that are lying around here, but I probably will keep them for the October international break. Yeah, it's that crazy. I'm keeping now parcels, but there's a parcel that I saw again that came in July. I have not even opened it. So yeah, it's very close to one of these two. Maybe I will open it also soon. We'll see. Any case, let me know what you think about these two jerseys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like these. Please leave a comment below as well, or leave me a subscription, and I will talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye!